This is a kind of world because men, they have the idea. I feel like a lot of them want to stay with the idea of you rather than the reality of you.
Don't be them.
Like they don't even try. They just come to you looking like gorillas. And
it should not be them. It's true. It should not be them.
I'm sorry. Oh, that's hate speech.
The nerve of them.
Is that hate speech?
It's not. It's not.
Sorry. The men that do though.
Please, that's not who we're here to talk about. Please.
How many percent? What is the percentage?
Yeah, what's the percent? Because you see,
you are the married one.
Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and also welcome to the newest series on my channel called Sofa Sundays. On Sofa Sundays, we're always here on the screen sofa talking about anything that we like to talk about: fashion, lifestyle, Islam, and how all these things intersect, and generally how we feel about it as Muslim women. The first set of guests I'm having on this show are my friends Kauthar on my left and Aisha on my right. Kauthar, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Kauthar Ahmed. I am also a YouTuber, fresh new YouTuber, and I will force Hameedah to link my channel below in the description box. And apart from that, I am a full-time risk prevention specialist, and I don't know how to even explain what I do, but risk prevention specialist. And I am a Muslim, and I try to be a good Muslim. I try. But yeah, we'll get into it later. But that's who I am.
Aisha, introduce yourself.
My name is Aisha Yusuf. I'm mostly known online as that other Nigerian girl, which is the name of my channel as well. It's the name of every platform that I have, except Twitter. But you don't need to know that. I am a software engineer by day, but I identify as a book reviewer. And I say that because that's what I do for fun most of the time.
So I am surrounded by tech babes here, and I'm a full-time content creator.
Overall buddies.
So I wanted you guys to also know that these are not just the ideas of people that you don't normally see in your lives. They are just like regular basic women living their lives, and also how they feel about these things I want to talk about. So today's topic is a bit long, but like I feel like it's a very important conversation that needs to be had. It's not really about what you're already doing or how far you've gone or how perfect you are at those things, but just starting this conversation and knowing that we should be conscious of these things as we go about our daily lives. So the topic is finding a balance as a fashion-forward Muslim and sustainability. Like, how do these two things intersect, and how do we feel about it as Muslim women? So I'm going to throw this open, starting from who's on my right, from Aisha. What are your thoughts, like general thoughts about being sustainable for someone who is fashion forward? Aisha, we see your reels all the time. She's always doing all these cool videos with her books and her outfits and matching them. How does Islam play a role in you being fashionable and also being sustainable, or are you even sustainable at all? How do you think these things intersect for you, and what do you think about those?
So I try to be sustainable. It is an ongoing thing. And I always say, like, the first step to bringing something to life is gaining knowledge about that thing. So once you have the knowledge, you can build on whatever it is that you want to do, and it can be a continuous process. Like Kauthar was saying earlier, she tries to be a good Muslim. It's always in the trying. So let's put that out there first. Then secondly, like I was telling you earlier, Islam is about moderacy in every aspect of our lives. And being sustainable or being aware of climate change or how our behavior affects the way the environment changes is also part of one of those things that we should find moderacy in. And so if fashion is something that we do for fun, you dress up to look nice, and by looking nice you feel nice. It's not okay, let's not get into that. But anyway, so you do all of these things to feel nice, and that feeling is a gift from Allah. There's nothing that you're feeling that is not from Allah. Everything is from Allah. Let's also get that out of the way. So if you have all of these things, and you know that Islam is about balance, then sustainability is an integral part of our deen. It's an integral part of Islam because of all of these things. So you don't want to use Allah's gift to you, which is the happiness you feel from dressing nice and looking nice, to transgress against Allah, which is then laying waste to all of like nature and like using that joy that Allah has given you to
Basically not being conscious of things that
or
you're using.
basically not being conscious. You're just feeding your soul.
So personally for you,
Personally for me, I try
how
to
do you how has this manifested in your life? Like, is it that you shop from certain places, or you wear your things more so that you don't waste them, or you count to like your cost per wear, or like how has this manifested in your life?
practically. So I don't shop in some places just for ethical reasons. There are some. I mean, obviously, all of these people, they are capitalists and they have their own ethically imbalance. You know, the way that they do their things. But there are some people that their brand openly transgresses the kind of ethics that I have.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name anybody's name,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's something that me I do, and I also try not to overconsume.
That's
So
a good
I
one.
always buy what I need, and there's a difference between need and want though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always buy what I need, and when I say need, maybe I've increased in size or I've decreased in size, and I want to get an extra, pair
Yeah.
of what will fit me that I'll be very comfortable in and will also go in line with Islam as well. Yes, so that's something I would need. So I always do that as well, and I'm very conscious about the way that I spend my money.
That's a good one.
So those are the things I do practically. Let me just keep it short like that so that you can also
Kauthar,
speak.
I know that you've had like a completely different journey from like me and Aisha. Obviously, because you're my friend, so I know. But like, how do you think that you've approached? Is this something that you even think about being sustainable? Because I know that this is just something that we've actually had a conversation about. Do you ever think about sustainability, or is it something that comes to your mind that you think about Islam and sustainability and fashion? Do those even intersect for you, and how do you feel about these things generally?
Yeah, of course they do, and for the most part, I agree with what Aisha said, and it's the same way I see it too, for the most part. For me, I try as much as I can in my own way to make sure that I do things that will be friendly to our planet, and try again to stay away from things that would harm the planet. And when it comes to clothing, like Aisha said again, it's when you know something and you know that this thing is wrong, that's when you start to like make adjustments. There was a time in my life where I used to buy from brands. Actually, you didn't want to talk, but I'll say it. Brands like Shein. Not too long ago, to be honest, but I had no idea the kind of unethical things that they did. I had no idea until I started to like see things on the news, on TikTok, and I'm like, wow, I don't want to give my money to this kind of brand. Stealing from like smaller businesses and just generally unethical
And cheating
behavior.
people.
And cheating, yeah. So I don't want to give my money to the people that are just blatantly doing something wrong. So that way I feel like, okay, I'm contributing, my own part to not damaging, other people's businesses and the planet in general. And for Islam, the intersection of fashion, Islam, and sustainability, to be honest, I've actually not thought about the way that Islam kind of like fits into the whole sustainability thing. But hearing Aisha talk, it makes sense what she has said about being moderate in the way that we do things. So don't be too lax or be too extreme. That middle ground is where we want to be. So for that, I think it makes a lot of sense when it comes to Islam and the way that Islam emphasizes on, taking care of ourselves, our own, but not harming our own self. Not to talk of the environment that we're living in, because if we harm the environment we're living in, we are indirectly harming us, or even directly harming our own self. So it makes sense that way. And like you said, the way that I see fashion or the kind of things that I wear, it has evolved from time. Like it has evolved a lot in like the past, let's say 6-5 years. And I think that I do things that I'm comfortable with at any moment. And because of my long history of religion and the things that it has done to me personally, I really am going at my own pace when it comes to like what I wear and the things that how I present basically. But always Islam is always at the back of my mind. I know that there are limits that I cannot
That you
cross.
cannot cross.
Yeah.
And it's always there like, okay, even if I am, bordering that, I'm like, is it okay? Let
Islam
me
is
put my
always there
It's always
to-
just at the back of the mind that this is not right.
Yeah, to put things
What
right.
are you going to do to fix this? Even if you're already in it, what are you going to do to fix this? Is this what you really want to wear outside? Is this what you want to do? Even if you go outside with wearing that, you just be like, okay, I don't want to do this next time. So that Islam is always there as the guide at the end of the day.
So I feel like from what both of you have said, it's mostly knowledge, and which is a big thing, because I feel like one of the biggest things when I started learning about sustainability and being conscious, like me and Aisha, it was like a journey for us together, is the fact that before that, I wasn't really conscious of all these things. I don't pay attention to them. I only know that I want things, and I feel like when you're coming from a place where you don't always have everything you have, and then when we start coming into being older and you can now afford things that you want, you're not really thinking about, is this ethical, is this
True.
You don't think about that. You just think, I want that, I can afford that now, I'm going to get that for myself. But when you're like growing older and you're trying to be more conscious, and then you're also learning the value of things and knowing that if I'm buying things cheap or if I'm buying certain things, and the quantity of it doesn't necessarily equate the value of what you're getting out of it, and also just being conscious generally that I want to wear things that make me feel a certain way, that present me a certain way, and in order to do that, you also have to go at the back. I'm not someone that is like 100% sustainable. I have like different views about sustainability. I'm not at the best at it yet, but I firmly believe that even when you're shopping in places that are not 100% ethical, because there are lots of brands.
Yes.
Sometimes you have brands that they are not ethical, but they have things that cater to you as a Muslim woman, as a woman that is covering, and they are within your price range, the budget, because modest brands are also expensive, and
I think that's another part
and
of
pocket range is something
conversation.
completely different as well. So having to shop those brands, but picking things that are very good quality, things that you can actually wear and wear. I always say if you can't wear something like 5 different times, you can't wear five different ways. Like on the spot, you can't think about it. Then you shouldn't be buying that thing, because that means at one point it's going to go like at the back of your wardrobe, which people don't pay attention to this, but you need to learn your personal side to know things that you generally gravitate towards and buy them in your wardrobe, so that you can always recycle and rewear and upcycle the things that you have in your wardrobe, rather than always reaching out to buy something. I create content
And I
every time.
think there's also, because obviously bringing it back to the Islam of it, because the Islam is like the crux of it. Buying, again, our life like Islam is a way of life, and it is the way that we live our lives.
I get what you're saying.
No, I'm trying to like add to
I know.
the conversation that you're saying.
I wanted to mention that I get your point. However, that's not what's at the back of everyone's mind.
Yeah, and
because
this is
you are
what
in
I'm
a
trying
different.
to say.
Yeah, okay.
Like that's what I'm trying to add to like the point that you've made. In that maybe this is also one of the things that we should do. If Islam is at the back of our mind, we'll make those decisions, and because you can feed your ego easily, and it's not just through like buying something.
Yeah.
You can consume. Consumption is the same way. You are consuming.
For instance, during COVID, even now, I love receiving packages. I buy myself stuff a lot. My friends always tell me that whenever I'm just sad, I just go like this, what can I buy? I just want somebody to knock on my door and drop me a package. And I think it's also something with this generation with delayed gratification. We just want things like instantaneously. Content is fast, everything is fast. So we want to get some things immediately. So like having that in mind can easily lead you to over consuming stuff, because I mean, why
and Islamically,
it doesn't make sense.
That is, I feel like when we think of like our generation, like the technology generation, when we think of Islam, we think all of this like
we think all the
things that don't matter, that don't
things that are just fully ibadah, that just praying or fasting or not in like our daily lives.
Or like our daily lives. Meanwhile, Islam is, I mean, all of these things are even more like, they matter more to Allah, because they are things you are very conscious about. So even when you're buying your clothes and you're thinking, okay, I've reached my limit today, I should not transgress the limit of Allah. That should also be at the back of our mind. So the joy that you get, this joy that you say that you get from receiving package, it did not just spring out of thin air. Allah has given you that joy.
But then I should not misuse.
But then you should not use that to misuse it, because like Alpha mentioned earlier, you know, doing things that aren't the planet is inherently affect us.
Yeah.
But it's not even just will inherently affect us. It is currently affecting some people.
Yeah, it is.
So
But I want to add something to this, and there's a story. There's a story I want to share about a time that I don't know if your audience don't know me that well, but yeah, you know I used to wear jilbab years ago, and then I remember the time that I had like a lot of jilbabs, like a lot, because I thought that this is something that I wear all the time. Why can't I have like a lot of it? So when one is dirty or two, I can easily pick a clean one. And I had about 10 different colors, and then when a sister then saw my, I don't know how, long story, but she came to my hostel and then she saw my jilbabs as I was folding them, and she said I was extravagant.
We can't do that.
And now, you know, talking about like,
really.
I just want to ask the question, like, middle ground. Is that extravagant?
I think middle ground is very, very relative, and also
Yes.
it depends on your pockets,
Mm-hmm.
and it also I feel like not just your pockets. When you are overdoing, you would know.
You
that you
know,
are
that's the
overdoing.
point I was gonna make. Like
You are just going
really?
to know that I'm pushing it.
Because again, you know, like you said earlier, appearance is part of Islam. Like you know, where there's several hadiths where Allah you know, like the way that it presents, the way very simple but classy. They will see you outside, you know that yes, you are of Islam. Why would they say 10 jilbabs is too? Okay, so that what you will go outside
Well,
and you
if you're someone that you don't have that much money, you are able. See, let me tell you something. If you live in poverty or if you have very limited funds, you know how to manage things very well. There are people that they can go through 3 pieces of clothing and you would not know. You can't tell. They'll be clean.
and that is
they'll
fine.
be
Fine, yeah.
And
So
that's fine.
the fact is, it's very relative. But I just don't think it was a place to say that was extravagant.
Because another thing
she
that
doesn't
we
have
do,
your perspective.
she doesn't have your perspective, and I think another thing that we do is it is easy for somebody that is perceived as poor to speak down on somebody they consider as rich.
or
But
that has more.
when it's the reverse, when somebody that is rich
Yeah.
speaks down on somebody that is poor, it's
Then
not acceptable.
The rich person is the aggressor.
Is the aggressor.
Yeah.
Whereas both cases are wrong. You don't project your own reality on another person. It's just
Okay.
yeah. I just have to validate that. That's wrong, man.
This intro is
Like
pretty strong. Anyway, moving to the next thing. The colonialist aspect of supporting certain fashion brands. Aisha doesn't want to talk about this, but she has to talk about it. I am a sinner.
This is
Because I'm sorry, I love fashion. I love Islam and I love Allah. Right?
May Allah make
And
that.
I know that He has put the love that I have for this in me for a reason, right?
Yes.
And I try not to overdo it.
Yes.
But I'm also going to be very honest with myself to say that I have my own limits that I've set for myself, and I know things that if I do, I'm like, okay, I'm overdoing at this point. But I also have brands that I would naturally shop with them because they're accessible to me. They're within my price range. There's some things that I cannot justify buying them over that price, regardless of even if I have the money, because I'm just like, this is wasteful. Right, and that's what leads me to shopping with some of these brands. Some of them is a thing of comfort. I'm used to them, or that's what's close to me. And some of them
And
is
I
just
will not
because I'm
judge you
lazy.
for that. You know me.
Obviously, you will
I will not judge you for that.
and some of them is because I'm lazy. That's why I said this is something that you constantly work on. And as much as I'm going to grow and explore things in my life and become richer,
Inshallah.
I'm going to like even shop from brands that are more ethical. My main goal is to shop from mostly black Muslim businesses and brands that are very, very ethical. Yeah. So now, my question to you guys: are there brands that you think you just won't shop from? I'll go first. Shein.
Same.
That you just won't shop from because they are just not it. Aisha has a list. Let's hear
I
it.
have a very strong opinion on that. My
She
opinion
does.
is very strong, and I try not to judge people because obviously context matters. Realities are different, but there are just some instances.
Yes, so now that's what I'm asking about you personally.
That's what
I just will not do it.
yeah. There are some brands.
List them. We want to hear them.
Do I want to do that though?
Yeah.
Because you work with some of these. You've
It
worked with
doesn't
some of
matter.
them.
This is not
Okay,
reality.
so one of them is Zara.
Zara, yeah.
they are very anti-Palestinian. I cannot
really?
bring myself
Yes.
to, and that's just one of them. I mean, many of these brands are,
That's the thing.
that
a lot
many of them
a lot
are,
of them are.
and so it is very difficult for, and we'll go back to the consumer, the classist aspect of this conversation, because the classism feeds the accessibility of these brands. So the brands that are supposedly accessible to people, they are feeding off of the classist setting of the society. Because the brands that are ethical, they need to spend so much money to produce the ethical goods, and of course spending so much money on production.
So basically, these unethical cheap brands are pushing them out because
yes.
then they are bringing out more stuff at very
cheap price, and they are doing that because they are using all of this labor that
cheap
are unethical. And obviously, I don't know all of the other labors that we don't know if they use Oiga labors. We don't know if they use incarcerated people's labor, like people that have been incarcerated. But these are brands that I know, like I've seen them being anti-Palestinian.
I had no idea.
Actually, Zara even did something. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly. I knew there was something that turned me off them at one point. That I just completely stopped shopping there. But goodness, sometimes when I just go into the store and I'm just like browsing.
They have good.
I think the only thing I feel like I don't like about Zara, now that you're saying they are anti-Palestinian and we are all pro-Palestinian, Palestine obviously. I think the only thing that really turns me off from buying things at Zara, I have things from Zara, but there are very few things that are from Zara. They are not inclusive. Their big sizes are not big enough. So I've gained a lot of weight in the past 3 years. I think I gained like 10 kgs, and it's been so hard for me. I used to like Zara a lot, and I would go there, probably see things that fit me. But now going there, it's harder. It's harder for me to find things that fit, because now I feel like I'm on the bigger side, and anytime I get something that really tight, or it just looks really off. But it's not the same with people that are on the skinnier side. So that's one of the things. Which
that's also a thing.
Yeah, that's
a thing.
Fashion. Yeah.
One of the things that I'm like, Zara, you can do better. But this whole Palestine situation,
that's something different. Even when I go to Zara, I'm skinny. Everyone knows I'm skinny, right? Even when I go to Zara and I'm shopping, I'm mostly only seeing the big sizes. Do you know why? Because the small sizes, they produce more of that, and people shop more of that. More for that. People shop that more, and the big sizes. And I'm also sensing that because most big people do not find something that suits them, and because their sizing is just so off, you tend to find that size that who's wearing that.
Yes.
On their
you can buy things from Zara, and I'm returning like a lot more times than I would in other like H&M or something, for example. You know. I don't know, but the Palestine thing, woo,
yeah, it was one of the items, like the protests in 2021.
So you guys boycott Zara.
Like a thing. I don't say boycott Zara,
but like,
but yeah, just like I feel like that's another thing. We cannot just leave everything to chance.
Yeah.
Because yes, you are not doing it intentionally, but I just feel like you're pouring water inside baskets. If every time the oppression in Palestine is at the peak, you come and say free Palestine, and in the next blink of eye, you are using your money to. It's not as if you are working with brands, so you are using your own money, £500 to order from Zara, and you're not doing
this thing that she wants to talk about is the culture that I do not like.
Yeah,
it's
not
wasteful part of content creation hall.
My God.
Like they can spend £500, £1,000, like what I got in Zara for £1,000. Why the hell have you spent £1,000 in Zara?
To buy something from Zara. And this is not, we're not even talking about non-Muslims now. These are people that look like us. And when I say people that look like us, I mean that.
I'm not saying don't splurge on yourself. Okay,
babes.
Guys. That's
everything. Again, everything has to pass through that.
That's not moderation. That's not moderation.
Exactly.
That's very wasteful, because people do it back to back, like every month, every week. I stopped doing hauls.
What if they return this thing?
Even that is now even more problematic.
It still doesn't.
That is more problematic because it's labor that they will use to process all of these things.
Do you know that then?
And they might not resell it.
That's what I was going to say. Some of these things cannot be resold. So like that's just waste.
That's even worse.
That's just waste. So let me be very very transparent. I used to do hauls before, but not things that like I buy. Like I buy plenty things. I'm like, oh, I did haul from this. So mostly when I do hauls with things that maybe brands have sent
Gifted
me,
you.
and these are things that I really really wear and keep. If I don't want something that a brand
And she
gives me,
gives to
I'm
some
going
of
to
us.
give it to my friend. Like I'm not going to give things that like I don't want to keep in my wardrobe. Like no, I'm not going to do that. But like when I get things from brands or I'm buying things occasionally, it could be things that I've accumulated over like a month. Then I show that because my content is lifestyle, is fashion, and people want to see these things. Also, another thing I do is I started doing like a collective haul thing, which is not haul because I realized that with hauls, I just say, oh, like this is what I bought. So what should we do with what you bought? What should we do with what value is that
People
adding?
consume
Aside,
content like
no,
that.
I know that people consume content and people want to know what you're wearing. People are trying to find their style. They want to know what to wear. How do I show up to this? How do I show up to that? That makes sense, right? But if you're just showing me like, oh, I got this, I got that, there's no value behind that. So I started doing something now. I show things that I have enjoyed in the past 1 month, in the past 2 months. These are things that I bought. Because at the point where you bought something, you don't really get the value for them. You don't know how much you're going to love them, how you're going to use them. But then when things have been valuable to me for a while, then I do a video about it and talk about it and say, okay, this is where you can put your money. But this one, I actually regretted. Sometimes I do hauls and when I film them, I show some things and like 2 months later, I don't like the item. I might talk about it passively on my stories, but I don't believe that every of my audience that posts that video would catch that part of
Your story.
of the content. So they might have gone ahead to buy that thing and then be disappointed at the end of the day. So I had to stop doing hauls so that I'm more conscious about things I'm putting out
So you're putting out.
and where I'm telling people to put their money.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on now. What can we start doing differently? What are you going to start doing differently?
Again, always filter everything through the lens of Islam. Going back to what I was saying earlier about the way that we view Islam and the value of like the values that we get from Quran and from the Sunnah. Like we look at it like, oh, it's just meant for some sets of ibadah or when you want to talk to the sheikh or something like that. Whereas it's every day of your life, everything you are feeling. They did not just bring out of thing here.
Yeah.
Allah has facilitated it because we need to intentionalize, if that is a word, visualize the faith that we say that we have in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has control over everything, so surely He has control over the way that feel, the way we spend our money, all of those things. So if you catch yourself, going overboard, set that limit. You can move it forward, you can move it back, depending on the situation that you are in, depending on your class in the society, wherever your faith, the level of your faith is at that moment in time. But there's always a limit that you know that you're not going to transgress. So I feel like look at everything from the point of Islam. And consumerism is not just even restricted to fashion. I was going to mention that thing about all in like in the book space is horrible. Is actually
I think
terrible.
generally people have been over consuming it.
The
Even with skincare
consumption is
and
crazy.
makeup and
It's just crazy. So as Muslims, all of these things, me now, if I did 2 book hauls last year, and all the book hauls, they're either PR or my friend gave me books. I've not bought a book with my money since 2019.
it's trash. I can't believe
I
it.
don't buy books. I use the library because I am paying council tax. Might as well use my library. I use the library, and obviously I have the privilege of getting books from publishers.
Yeah.
But even then, my friends give me their books. So
Also, guys, loan each other books.
loan each other books. Use your library, because you know that when you borrow books from library, I don't know about other countries, so like Ireland for example, but I know that in the UK, when you borrow books from the library, they pay the author a particular amount of money, so maybe 50p or 35p or something is a thing. So the more you borrow books from the library, the more the authors get their coins.
And that's a good way to
So,
support. Yeah.
And so it's a good way, and you're being sustainable as well.
And personally, if I were to borrow a book in library, it would always be black.
They have a lot of black
authors,
books.
I'm not going to
They have a
lie.
lot of black
Or
British
African literature.
authors, African literature, because they did not colonize us. But anyway, so again, filter everything through the lens of Islam, and I think that's what I will continue to do, because everything just becomes easier when I do that.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Okay, for you, Carter, I'm going to your own is going to be slightly different, right? So it's kind of like, how do you feel? Because I know that weight gain is as normal as weight loss or anything else, but I also know that the struggles of Muslim women that are plus size or that are a bit chubby or you
On
don't
the
have
bigger
on the
size.
bigger size, their struggle is completely different. There are things that we would wear and get away with, or like even modest woman wears it. Like, what has been the most difficult part of your journey in finding your style again, wearing clothes, being comfortable, and at what point do you just feel like, how is your journey?
Do I manage that? Okay, like I told you earlier today, I think I found it very hard to come to terms with the whole weight gain thing. And I think it's something that I was really open about on my Instagram, talking about how I felt really, depressed that I was gaining a lot of weight. And even though I'm growing older.
Exactly.
I mean, and it's supposed to be normal, right? But I still felt really, really terrible about it. And it made it worse when I would go out to get something and the things I would buy normally that would fit me, they are now super tight. And I now made it like,
And everything is just.
it's not so
all
clean,
over the
yes.
place.
And I'm just like, wow, okay. And even when I try to get a size bigger, it's now a problem. So I go into stores. If I see something that I like, usually I don't wait, because I know that before I come back, let me just wait. Maybe they will reduce the price. It's gone. I will not see it again, and then it will be hard for me to get something that fits. And if I get something smaller, it will still fit, but then it will be too tight. And then I find myself being extra conscious about, my body, my butt is. I'm just extra conscious about it. Now, I think in the beginning I was always so shy or whatever, but now I'm like, I can't cut my butt and keep it at home, or cut like any part of my body and keep it at home. Like, what can I do about this? So it's really hard. It's honestly so hard for me. And people always say, oh, maybe dress more modestly or whatever, and fine, that's great. But I remember when I used to wear jilbab, I was part of the community that everybody was wearing a jilbab. There were women who were like plus size people who still had that problem, even with the jilbab, because they are wearing jilbab and then their boobs, the wind blows and everything is out.
That you just
Everything is just. I want to swear so bad. Everything is just literally so over sexualized. That is the problem.
Okay, actually, that's what I want to say.
Exactly. Because now you're not seeing the Muslim brother saying, sister, stuck for law, like, yo, this thing is showing the wind is blowing. Would they go and keep their breast in the house?
Should they hold the wind?
Should they cut it off and keep it before going? Even people wearing the jilbab.
And it sucks because this girl in Instagram, Tahira, I think that's her name.
Yeah, that's
she's plus size. You need to follow her.
You need to watch
She's
her
plus size, and she always says this: is it really modest, or is she just
She's
skinny?
skinny. That's the question.
Like, that's a very good question to start with.
Modest.
So you know what? I mean, obviously, I can't fully relate to you, but I understand what it feels like when you've been skinny all your life and you enter the phase, which is absolutely normal.
What I think, I feel like this is even so different from people who have always been
chubby, because it's just
But for me, it's so different because it was just like in just like 2 to 3 years, everything just changed. I won't even consider I feel like saying I'm plus size. I'm the people who are actually plus size. They'll look at me like, what are you talking about? But I'm just saying that I've moved from wearing small or even extra small sometimes to now wearing
I've never wanted
to now wearing extra large.
To now wearing large, extra large, and
it feels
like and it still feels like, oh, the lounge wear that I wore the other day, it's like a large size.
It was large.
And then my boss was still like,
So
I feel like, what am I supposed to do now?
I feel like there are a few things.
So hard.
One of it is the fact that over sexualization is
also
the fact that people are not being graceful, and people that do not have these experiences do not know how it feels. I don't know what it feels like to be plus size. I've never been plus size.
I don't know what it feels like to be
But I also, for someone that loves fashion, that loves clothes, I know what it feels like to not fit in something, to not feel,
it's annoying.
to not feel like you look good.
Yeah.
And I know that because a lot of fashion trends, a lot of fashion content push the skinny,
Yes.
the small
Yes.
sizes, so it can easily make people that on the big size feel like they are not it's not it can easily a lot of big people do feel like they are not beautiful, or they are not conventionally beautiful, or they don't look good in something, and people would they will look perfectly fine, and they will
Like,
look at
you
their
look
body
at
and
them
they be like,
babes,
I don't look good, I
you
look
look
fat,
amazing.
I look this, but it's not because they look like that, it's because society has made
Is
them
that-
feel like
That's
what
one
they look
thing.
like when they're
You know,
wearing
like that
those
thing
things.
of going from skinny to. I mean, I was at some point in my life
She was
skinny,
very
but I
skinny.
wasn't really skinny because I have legs. My mom gave me legs. My mom gave me legs. Gave me legs.
Same.
So I've always had that.
Mhm.
So I knew that at some point in my life, you know, comfort will come to some extent, alhamdulillah. And that part of me will evolve because I am a woman. I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to change.
Also, but like, when I say women,
African women.
but like African women are mostly.
No, but even then, you don't. This was not what you looked like a couple of years ago. So even when you say you're skinny, this was not what you looked like a couple of. Maybe I see have your old picture now.
That's a lie.
What I'm trying to
saying
say.
that's a lie because I still fit into things that I've always been fitting in. That's my own point. So I'm like, I'm not changing
No,
sizes.
you are not exactly changing sizes. Yes.
Yeah, that's
But
what I'm saying.
the point me I'm even trying to make is, you know that thing about society.
Yeah.
Every time I look, also this is a tip.
Yeah.
Always look at your body. I don't regret things in my life, but one thing that I regret, I have one big regret, and it's not buying full length mirror when I was in uni. Like, it's a big regret for me, because looking at your body is a blessing. Like, look at your body, being able to move is a rahmah from Allah. Look at your body. Don't allow people sexualizing the female body.
Look at the way Allah has created
Allah has created you
and just love it.
and love it. And this brings me back to the point I want to make. We need to stop using the voice of the male gaze to stare at our own body. And you have to, and it's not just, I'm Leonard or whatever. You have to consciously beat that voice out of yourself.
Yes.
Look at your body. When you are starting to say, I'm looking like something is coming out from my side.
Do you think you're looking like that because you feel like when people look at you
when men
no people I'm saying people now because it's now a societal thing, because Kata went to Nigeria and a lot of people kept pointing out that she's added weight, and I feel
she
like
doesn't know.
I'm not angry when people point that out because I mean it's rude
and you look amazing by the way.
It's rude.
Mashallah,
but like I'm always extra angry when women point it out, like
oh my
god, you added weight. Okay.
I wanted weight and you don't have a child.
Tell me more. I can't see.
That's not the topic.
That is so rude.
So when you give birth, how you look like? What do they mean?
They were so rude. Detouching my body.
You did not say anything about anybody.
I was just trying not to be rude.
Apart from trying not to be rude, I feel like sometimes it can be shocking. You don't know what to say because
you don't know how to react.
How do you respond to that?
I was just
it's very awkward.
Nothing to say. You're like, okay, cool.
And sometimes you give them comeback, you'll be like you're the wicked.
You will be like
I was telling Hameedah about how I went on this very bad diet, like very extreme diet, just because I wanted to lose weight. But it just lasted like 3 days, and I couldn't. And because of I have some medical conditions like ulcers, and I was going hungry just because I wanted to lose weight. And even though I lost like 3 kgs in just a couple of days, and I thought, let me do this, maybe I'll lose all of the weight I want to lose, and I'll be like, I want my body to be a certain way. But my body wasn't just right. I'm already entering into the eating disorder zone, which is not which is not something that I want. Like, obviously people that are going through this mental illness and whatever, and I wish them like all the best and ease and yes. And I was like, no, you can't do this to yourself. For what? Is it because some people are saying you're bigger? Is it because you fit clothes don't fit? Just buy bigger.
See, that's another
like
thing.
you are not
change the clothes.
You are not meant to fit clothes.
Not your
they are
body.
meant to fit you. Like,
because you cannot be changing animate object for inanimate object. I
gave away like half my wardrobe because I don't fit anymore, and I had to like buy new things. And again, I was now thinking, do I have the money to buy this extra things? But all of the things I had before don't fit anyone. It's like, what do I do?
honestly, I feel for every either you're skinny, either you're plus. If you ever decide that you want to go to the gym or you want to work on your weight, let it be because you want to be healthy,
Yes.
because you want to be strong.
Yes.
And it's valid if you do want to lose weight, but let it be like for the right reasons and for yourself, not because
Not channeling
of the
male
gaze
gaze
or society or
that
something.
society and it's not only men, like you said earlier. It's not only men that have the male gaze. It's now a thing in the
I
society.
feel like even families tend to shame people more.
do.
They start shaming them in the house before they go outside, and that's why people get like too over conscious that they start thinking, if my own family can tell me this, what are people outside going to say about
And
it?
fatphobia again.
Fatphobia, yeah.
Fatphobia fits and is a deal breaker for me in everything. Friendship, relationships, even family members. You will not be fatphobic towards them. And again, it goes back to learning, like giving yourself the gift of learning things. When you know something, you can walk your way towards achieving whatever good you want to achieve in that thing. So fatphobia is a terrible thing, and it affects people's even marriages. Because you imagine you got married when you were like really skinny,
Yeah.
and then your body is
That's
changing. Like your body
normal.
should change because you are a person.
Yeah.
And then somebody
Also-
goes, oh, I want to break up with you because they are fatphobic.
Also, when your body starts going through things, like obviously you're married, you're having sex, your body is going
you
through
are
something.
enjoying your
Birth
life.
control if you
Birth
Oh,
control,
something
I mean things
like-
like birth control or things like also comfort. Even men
Comfort.
get bigger. When they get married.
because it's peace of mind.
you
You're not
get-
hopping down for one place in Lagos.
No, but then even your
Even
metabolism
the ones
slows
down
down.
for-
Your
Things
metabolism
like that
slows down.
as well. Like it's just normal for you to like add weight, and these things are just normal. I wish we would stop obsessing
it.
about it and making it like a big deal.
And you know, like even when you work out, your body reacts differently to work out. So I run.
Really?
It's a thing I run and
Oh,
I
this girl
enjoy
runs.
running. I love it.
One day she's going to run to the gym.
Be serious. I enjoy running and I love it. But even when so there was a time when I started running, I noticed that the band of my trouser, it was becoming fitter. You know, I used to buy trousers that because of my leg, I used to buy trousers that
Yeah.
So I noticed that the band was fitting me. And I wondered like how usually when you do exercise
You're supposed to
you're supposed to lose weight and not gain it.
So
But
it
then,
was toning.
for some people, I don't even know if it's toning.
I think your muscles
For some
are
people,
toning.
you gain muscles on top of whatever, I mean underneath whatever weight you have. And this is why what you just said, like if you are going to go to the gym or you want to lose weight or whatever, just make sure you're doing it for the right, or not even make sure, try to always tell yourself that I'm doing it for the right reason. Don't be telling yourself
because
that.
it's very easy to get lost.
That's why
But
for
what
my
would react differently.
I go to the gym now, but what I do is just strength and conditioning, balance,
So that when
stamina.
people say you're
Mhm.
fat,
and I it's not like I gain weight. I'm
Oh yeah,
getting
you're going
stronger.
to die.
Yeah, I'm getting stronger,
Yeah,
because-
Allah grant everybody is.
Yes.
Everybody, Allah grant them is.
Yes.
But the point is, do things. Also, taking care of your body is an amana.
you know, you
From
said
Allah.
something about when women like are married and they gain weight and like we know how these things are normal, but like how it has ruined marriages because this is a kind of world because men, they have the idea. I feel like a lot of them want to stay with the idea of you rather than the reality of you.
Person.
Like you notice that this thing, and if not even in like the most basic scenarios, but even in extreme cases like women that have gone and maybe they just had a child. Do you know what
Or
their
while
body
they
has
are
gone through?
pregnant.
Or while they are pregnant,
Those are
and
the worst.
men are confidently coming out to tweet about saying how they are disgusted
they are
or how
disgusted
this
by their
young
own
who are
wife.
married, how like all these things. Actually, I started working now.
Sorry. Okay.
But like all these things, they make women lose their confidence because as much as you want to be powerful, you want to be confident for yourself, you want to do this for yourself. When you have a partner, when you have someone that you love, you also want to be appealing to them. And I feel like men should start to check themselves, even though we say like countless times, they should start to check themselves and
the
what
nerve of them. I'm sorry.
And they
It should not be you.
They don't do anything.
It should not be them.
Like, they don't even try. They just come to you looking like gorillas. And
It should not be them. It's true. It should not be them.
I'm sorry.
It's the truth.
That's hate speech.
The nerve of them.
Is that hate speech?
What am I
It's
talking
not.
to?
It's not.
Sorry, all this.
In this vicinity, men are scum.
I'm not saying my own.
It's true now. They just
No, but
like they're not even trying.
I feel like
For you have to be Victoria's Secret model.
they do the barest
Please.
minimum. It's so like a lot of men do not say like, oh, I want to start looking this way for my wife. I want to let me wear this for my wife. Let me wear this for my partner. Let me.
But the men that do though.
Please, that's not who we are here to talk about. Please.
How many percent? What is the percentage?
Yeah, what's the percent? Because you
What
seem
you see me asking? You are the married one.
You seem to be experienced.
Why not the experience? You put that in married.
No, but like, I mean, I'm not going to say the men that do though because it's common sense. That's how it's supposed to be. But talking about the fact that there's a very huge percentage of men
that don't
who don't do these things, who are fatphobic and who do not care about how their wives look, how their wives feel, and because I'm saying they don't care about how they look because all the things that they talk about shows that they care more about how they're perceived through how their wives look, how they are also how sexually they find them appealing, right? Oh God, I don't want to go into porn culture, but guys, this is not going to end. This is not going to end. But where men get these ideas from, it's a lot, and it's very questionable because I feel like if you're at a certain age, it's acceptable. Maybe you're a child, but like when you're a man, I said a man,
like
seeing a woman, marrying somebody, having children. Why are you not wiser?
You should be smarter.
They don't like to learn. I don't think they do as much personal development.
Yes.
They just want to hold my.
They are not self-aware. They don't self-reflect.
Do podcast and talk about.
Colleagues, it starts milk. Age milk.
Like stepful sisters.
Age milks.
And
putting the humming sound behind their video.
Anyway, y'all make strong fashion choices.
Anyway, I really do hope you enjoyed.
Oh, I was supposed to mention 2 billion.
Okay,
strong.
yeah.
So UK there's this campaign called 2 billion strong. It is a campaign to get more UK Muslims to be involved in the climate change conversation. So you know the thing we mentioned earlier about gaining knowledge. So for you to be sustainable, to cultivate that awareness, you need to learn about it. So when you have the time or the chance, check out 2 billion strong just to have a look at it. I'm reading some of the books that they are promoting for the campaign.
So you can also check
when I do that, I'll drop a review and then you can check on my channel.
Anyways, guys, I really do hope you enjoyed the first episode of Sofa Sunday, and you loved my guest.
So to see you again.
Please remember to drop any of your suggestions on content like this that you'd like to see, conversations that you think we should have. I'll be having lots of different guests. You can also recommend people that you think would be great for the series. And yeah, bye.